Picture this: 3 library staff members trapped inside the South Charleston Public Library. Aaron, Tobey, and Josh, each with divergent tastes, tasked with watching each other's films. Can they survive with their sanity intact? Find out on Real Opposites, a library podcast about movies.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Real Opposites. I'm Aaron,
I'm Josh.
I'm Tobey.
and we are back to discuss Josh's pick from last episode, Midnight Cowboy. Josh, so tell us why this was chosen.
I mean, I love the movie, and I think it still is very relevant. And it's very touching and heartbreaking, and but I picked it more of the movies I put in the box.
Mm-hmm.
What's in the box? Is for cultural relevance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because after I finished watching it, I was thinking. So this famously won Best Picture,
Mm-hmm.
the only X-rated film to win Best Picture, and I was looking over the list of like Best Picture winners,
Mm-hmm.
and there is not a single one since, maybe even before, but I mostly just work since 1969, 55 years ago, that has been so relevant and steeped in the time that it was made.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a couple that are like, yeah, maybe, but like the whole movie is like a time capsule of 1969 of America, what it felt like to be a young person in America.
Mm-hmm.
Ratso and Joe Buck, they're kind of stand-ins for that generation.
Yeah.
I think that's
Mhm.
why the film was so popular. Beyond just like amazing performances
Mm-hmm.
from both of them. Both of them were nominated
Mm-hmm.
that year for
Oh, okay.
like in Best Actor. Like it wasn't a supporting, like they were
Yeah.
equal,
Oh, wow.
very much equals.
Well, they're like two people that are like chewed up and spit out by like the machine of like the New York slums in the 60s, right? So,
Yeah, I
like,
mean, they're they have dreams and aspirations, especially Joe Buck.
Mhm.
He's gonna move there. He's gonna be a gigolo because that's
Right.
that's a dream.
Yeah.
Move to the big city, and America won't let that happen.
No.
Right.
You're gonna go to Vietnam. You're gonna die in a swamp
Mhm.
Yeah.
halfway across the world. And neither, Ratso doesn't get it out.
No.
He makes it to Florida, but then passes away.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a lot of people's story is these two characters. They move to a big place. They have dreams, or they've been broken by the American dream.
Right.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I mean, I think the movie still hit really hard. It's been a few years since I watched it, but there's so many. It's one of those is like there's so many pop culture references.
True.
The music, the style, it's so quotable.
I'm walking here.
Yeah, I mean, I love the movie. I think it's still terrific. Still, like I said, like a time capsule of that era.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of a better movie from that era that really feels like if you just want to know what it was like to be in America in 1969, I think this is about as close as you're going to get.
It's so bleak too, though. Like
Yeah.
there are real moments in this movie where I was like, man, that just like when Ratso for a minute sees like Joe Buck as his way to his dream.
Yeah.
And he's like standing on the street corner watching him go inside the ladies' hotel or whatever, and it's just like sitting there daydreaming about them in Florida, and it's almost like a heaven dream, right? Like
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, like he's like he doesn't have his limp, everything's fine. They're like nice and clean,
They're running on the beach,
well fed, running on and it's like, and then
Then you cut back.
You cut back, and it's him getting thrown out of the hotel, and the next morning they're like stealing food at the market, or like, and it's just so this movie's like real sad. I don't think I was in the right mood for this, but it is
Had you never seen
good.
it?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, I
Okay.
heard of it. I'd never seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my first time watching it as well, and I don't think I didn't look into the movie at all before I watched it, so I didn't know what I was getting into, and I think it was one of those like I wasn't prepared for what it was.
Okay. Sorry, this might be my fault.
Oh no. I mean, it wasn't a bad thing. I just didn't realize how deep of a movie it was.
Right? Yeah.
And I really like that about it.
Mhm.
It is a good movie, and it, like you said, touches on the American dream and how life was back then. But unfortunately, I think it still touches on
Oh yeah.
how life is now
Mhm.
and the American dream as well. That hasn't.
I mean, the homeless
I don't-
population's probably bigger than ever right now.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
there's these two men are all over America in
Mhm.
every city.
Yeah, and then you have Joe, who he's just trying to figure himself out along the way,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it. I don't know. I feel like it just really shows what it is to struggle with oneself, as well as, especially with Ratso, struggle with that American dream
Yeah.
and just trying to make your way in America alone, until they find each other, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's almost. I mean, it's. I mean, it's a. I mean, there's this couple certain points, where Joe's trying to take care
Mhm.
of Ratso, and it's almost like they're married, like a married couple.
Yeah.
Like kind of these little bickering moments that are.
The food.
Yeah, they're kind of
See if I cook
sweet.
you dinner again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. He gets a few bucks, and he goes and
Yeah.
gets some soup and everything.
Yeah.
I love the like how it gets into the character's headspace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Joe is clearly traumatized by some sort of an event, whether that's like a literal memory or if it's some, putting together various events that happened
Mm-hmm.
and like kind of an amalgam of a feeling.
So it is based on a book, and in the book, that event happens.
Okay.
It's a girl from his school that is known to be kind of a slut,
Mhm.
and she and he is the only one that eventually she starts seeing him and actually wants to be with him.
Yeah.
And so the other boys report like her promiscuity to her father, and then she's taken away to an insane asylum
Gotcha.
and for like sexual hysteria, which is like still
No, I mean,
what's
yeah,
still
that's what
happening in the 60s in
Yeah.
America, which is crazy.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Which is, and then the other things though I think are supposed to be flashbacks to Vietnam and like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, and I mean, he's like this. I mean, that's what I like. I like about. I mean, of the two characters, I mean, I think Ratso gets the more. Dustin Hoffman gets looked at more because his character's a little bit more flamboyant. But I don't know. I really John Voight, like, for one thing, he's very young. He has kind of like a baby face,
Yeah.
So, and you put him in that, like the cowboy getup, and he looks like some little kid dressed up like
Yeah.
yeah,
like Gene Autry or something. Like
Right.
it's like
He's trying to
this-
play a part.
it's this facade of
Yeah.
a cowboy, of masculinity, and
Mhm.
and there's
and
an
pe-
innocence to it too.
there is yeah, that's what I like so much about him and the role and his performance, because he doesn't like. I mean, he was largely raised by his grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and he doesn't really have any kind of male role model,
Yeah.
and I don't know. It's a pretty touching commentary, I guess, on state of masculinity at that moment. Now,
Yeah. I think.
I mean, it's still
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, I think it's also still a thing, very much so, but it does it touches on almost toxic masculinity, and I think it also with Joe, you kind of see like an exploration of sexuality a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Um,
It's almost like he's going there and he's like, I'm gonna, I'm a cowboy. I'm gonna
Right.
go there and I'm gonna have sex with a lot of women. They're gonna pay me a lot of money because that's what a man does.
exactly.
And it's like it's this false ideal that he's got in his head from his, whoever, his grandmother or Western movies or
Right.
however he was brought up, and it's this like slow realization that that's not real.
Yeah.
And the it's interesting to see a movie that like takes on sex work from a male perspective
Yeah.
too, which is
I feel like you don't see that a
you
lot.
do not see that very often.
No.
And the idea of like we do see it all the time, like women getting taken advantage of in those ways. I do feel like, though, for some reason, and I'm sure this was probably particularly true in the 60s, when you put a male in that role, for some reason, and probably like that's the social commentary about it, you feel, I don't know, like you shouldn't, but I feel like it is framed in a way that's like he's more pitiful, like you feel more pity than like you feel for like what her name's not coming to me, but like in Pretty Woman or like
Julia Roberts.
or like that's a sad thing, right? But like
Yeah, I mean,
like there are women every day who get taken advantage of, and then I'll introduce you to somebody, give me $20 or whatever, and then like end up in the situation that he was in with like some crazy person, and it's like
yeah, I mean, like
yeah.
the scenes on the street of the Midnight Cowboys,
Mhm.
was, I think a lot of those were just real, like they just went on the streets.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like that's what New York looked like.
Mhm.
It was, almost a dystopian, portrait of America in the late 60s and into the 70s.
Yeah.
And really not until the 80s did it kind of get itself cleaned up.
Well, especially 42nd Street being like one of like the
More notorious.
more notorious for like sex work, but also for like you don't go there because that's where the gay community is.
Yeah.
Also in New York at that time, which is a difficult thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's very very odd.
Yeah, it's a different. I mean, I think part of it is because he doesn't quite know what he's doing.
right.
Right.
Whereas I feel like somebody like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman or, Nancy Allen in Blowout, like they're very confident and assured of
Right.
themselves. And he's just like laying on the streets thinking things are just going to happen for him,
Right.
because he's young and handsome and dressed like a cowboy. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is it's a more sympathetic picture of like sex work than
Yeah.
you get when you have a woman in that role typically. Which
Yeah,
is like
I
which
agree.
is kind of sad, but also like
Well, I think it also is just what fits this movie.
it is. Yeah.
I think even if it was a woman in that spot, it would have been shown the same way. I think the thing about him that makes you really drawn to him more is that he's also struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he thinks that's his way out,
Right.
but it's a struggle. It's a complete struggle. But then you also see his kindness in him taking care of Ratso and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like that like that's where they both, especially Joe, kind of finds a purpose, is taking care of him.
Exactly.
And I mean, I think that's what it's trying to say at the end is like, don't these false ideals and things you look up to in pop culture or media, they're facades. The two individuals, forming a relationship and a bond and looking after each other is what really matters.
Exactly.
And I think it was a powerful message in 1969. Still is. And the thing is, it's like it's not heavy-handed with it. I don't think. Like I think it feels like it feels genuine. It feels honest, and I mean, it's still really powerful. Like those flashbacks or those like dreams that Ratso's having of like them on the beach, like that moved me the most this time
Yeah.
of anything. Like I almost teared up just watching that.
And I think you're right about nowhere in the movie did I feel like anything was being heavy pushed on.
Yeah, it's
all
not like
the
it's not like
just
prodding you, asking you to, hey, cry here, cry
right,
here.
exactly.
You know, yeah.
It's all just seems natural. It almost just feels like you're in their head a little bit, and you're just following what happened to them. It kind of just rolls along.
Yeah, I mean, it feels very like a documentary style.
Right.
The only thing that really takes it out of that are the flashbacks or the dreams.
Yeah, and
the dreams are so simple too.
They are,
and
right.
Ultimately, I think that's what most people like. People have big dreams of like money and wealth and stuff, but like at the end of the day, I think
I just want to go run on the beach with my friend.
Yeah, what most people
Right,
want is
exactly.
their day is a day just in the sun, right?
Yeah.
And like for life to be like that,
Just to be carefree and
happy and safe and able to, eat and have fun, like,
Right.
and that's
and just be.
and just be, and
it's
that's
really like the most
yeah.
basic American dream you could
the
have. It's
most-
just like
the-
I just want to,
It's the hardest to attain, though.
yeah,
It
it
is.
is.
It
Just,
is.
I just want to be on the beach with my friend, or I just want
Yeah.
like a moment where I don't have to stress about money or surviving, or like, I mean, and those like simple dreams disappear for people all the time.
Right.
That's
yeah.
And I think this movie just does a really great job of, in a subtle way, like I said, not beating you over the head with it, just touching on so many things like that, the simple dream, the big dreams, the, like I said, the figuring yourself out, the sexuality, the just relationships and bonds that people have,
Yeah.
and that it touches on all that, and I think it's also so relevant to today. I actually enjoyed this movie. Like I said, it was something I wasn't expecting when I went in because I just didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
But it was a great surprise for it to be this deep and this great storytelling movie.
So you could probably see how some of the like more indie movies that you like that come out like recently, kind of very like there's a lineage that kind of goes back to, especially this era in Hollywood, from like starting with Bonnie and Clyde and then this, in the late '60s. So this is where like New Hollywood had like finally landed on their feet. Like they were Oscar-winning, celebrated films, and I mean this is just like how this is what people wanted to see at that point,
right?
Like they didn't want, because what doomed Hollywood was all the big lavish musicals and epics that flopped and they spent a ton of money on,
right?
So this and Bonnie and Clyde, The Graduate, which his agent was told Dustin Hoffman, like, why are you doing this movie? Stop doing this movie. Like, it's not, you just did The Graduate. Like, you're the hottest actor in Hollywood right now. Why do you want to slum it making this trash?
Yeah.
That's how it was viewed. It
well,
was,
John Voight also was terrified. Like,
Yeah.
when they finished, I mean, I was just reading the trivia when they finished rapping, like, that they just made something like banal and vulgar. And
well, that was the director. That was
the
John
director.
Schlesinger, and John Voight was telling him that we've
made him
to get him out of like his slump, which is part of there's a documentary also on Canopy about the film.
Okay.
That he says that like that's the opening of the documentary is John Voight recalling that memory.
Oh, okay.
Like telling him that
I'd like
we've
to
made a
watch
masterpiece that will
actually.
stand. It's really good. But I mean, it touches on like what was going on at the time in America and just the origins of the film and the making of it. But it's a good companion piece to the film.
Yeah.
It's on Canopy, and I like one aspect I do like is, I mean, this is what I was watching. I was like, well, for one thing, this was X-rated, and I'm watching it now. It's like,
why?
Why? But it wasn't necessarily any of the nudity. It was the homosexual aspect.
Absolutely.
Because that was still deemed like a moral and mental like aberration, like you were, by doctors and like the
Right.
and
Not far from that today, but
but that's what I was thinking because I was like, well, I haven't seen it in a few years,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, Aaron's gonna hate this because there's it's all about sex work and
Yeah.
sex, but there's really there's so
There's
little.
No, there's not.
And what it
It's
what
so
nudity
vital.
and sex is there is it's so kind
it's
of
story driven.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, it is story and it's relevant and it's story driven, but it, just aesthetically, the scenes themselves are so they're not.
They're pretty. They're
Pretty and
nicely shot.
they're edited like a montage.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's you're kind of going throughout the whole
Mm.
encounter. It's not just like a straight
Right.
ABC.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say earlier when we brought it up that about it being X-rated. Of course I expected it to be really crazy,
Graphic.
but it just wasn't, and any of the nudity was needed for
Yeah.
the film.
Yeah.
It was a part of the story. It was very story driven, and it was done in a nice way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's my thing with nudity in movies is not so much I hate nudity, it's just I hate when it doesn't really
It's not
matter.
relevant.
Story.
It's not,
Mhm.
or it's not story driven, or it doesn't those scenes helped that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
So I'm not just thinking. There's a movie called Don't Look Now.
Mm-hmm.
It came out in a few years later, 73, I think, or 71 or 73. Anyway, it's Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie.
Ooh.
And there's a you'd like it because it's like what A24 strives for.
Mhm.
They're this married couple and they lose their daughter and in an accident. They go to
Oh.
Venice, I think, to kind of escape
Mm-hmm.
and get their minds off things. And he keeps seeing her and she keeps seeing. Anyway, it's a great movie.
Sounds like something
I'll
I'd
check
But
it
like.
out.
there's a pretty in-depth sex scene
Mhm.
in the beginning between Sutherland and Christie, and I'm thinking back and the style is very similar
To those.
to this a few years earlier. I think ultimately the Don't Look Now ones are better done because it's all about you see them getting dressed, but then you cut back to them having sex, and it kind of
Yeah.
what's arousing about it is the memory of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That lasts in your head afterwards. And it's kind of similar here. They're all the scenes are kind of chopped up a little bit,
Mhm.
and so it's more just about a feeling than a literal titillation.
Well, with the
Right.
very first one, the first woman that he
Yeah,
convinces him or he convinces in New York, it's the scene with the TV montage, which
Mhm.
now I've seen a bunch of times, but obviously I feel like it's referencing this, right? And,
Yeah.
and it's I don't know. I feel like a lot of times, sex in movies is more about titillation than about all of the emotion and everything else that is going into sex. They do a really good job of talking, being showing what's going on in the characters' minds without
Right.
having it be instead it's what's playing on the TV.
yeah.
There's hints of desperation there. There's the time capsule, you get bits of the time that you're in, but you're also getting things that are obviously innuendo for what's
Right.
happening that you're
Yeah.
not seeing. And it's very I thought that was one that I was like, well, that's the most well done I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it done where it's all just straight innuendo or whatever, but in this one there was also a lot of I don't know, there's a lot of mental stuff that goes into, especially if you are doing some kind of sex work, there's a bit of distance or disassociation there, and so
Yeah.
getting the TV as part of that scene was really neat and interesting.
Yeah, and they did a great job with that.
I think
Yeah,
so.
and I think that's why it, nowadays it would definitely not receive an X.
No, it's just a standard
And
R.
like you said, it's more about the homosexuality in the movie, and which I saw somewhere in the trivia that that people were getting up and leaving
Mm-hmm.
during the first scene, the movie theater.
Movie
scene.
theater scene.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That when they released it, people did just get up and walk out,
I mean, they probably weren't expecting.
which it doesn't show
that.
anything.
It doesn't.
No,
Yeah.
no.
It doesn't.
I
It's
mean,
all implied.
I love that scene because it's, I think I think ultimately Joe is slowly coming to terms with the fact that he might be gay,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
because he gets the sense that he is enjoying it, and then he lashes out at him afterwards in the
Yep.
bathroom.
Yeah.
And then by the end, like he's holding Ratso in the bus, and like they might as well.
That was
Be a
very,
couple.
It's very
Right.
clear that they do love each other,
Yeah.
and like even whether that is like, I do think it was intended to be like in a like sexual romantic nature,
Yeah.
but like it is very clear that those two like they love each other at the end of the movie, and it's like, and this movie is
They have
I
a
think,
chemistry.
like a love story at the end of it.
Right.
But yeah, like I mean, people, of course they do. I mean, it's the same. We were just talking last episode about the same kind of thing where The Craft got an R rating and could not get an R rating because of witchcraft.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was like this now. I mean, I think our standards would just be
That would
very-
totally be
a
a PG-13.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a PG-13, and this would be a standard R. And you know, because it does still have sex scenes in it, but like,
Right.
Yeah, but it's not anymore. I mean, I saw more flesh on.
Showgirls.
Well, that was
Well,
NC-17.
and that was meant.
Oh.
And that was meant.
Well, that's
and- yeah.
NC-17 was like the replacement for X.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And there's really, I think, only a total like 80 or 90 NC-17 films that have been released. And
wow.
well, yeah, because you can't. The Showgirls is the widest release of an
Yeah.
NC-17 movie. It was like their big gamble.
Mhm.
Let's see if this works, because you can't advertise in newspapers. You can't, like, you could just do it on social media. Like the
Right.
Terrifier movies, they spent $500,000 advertising those movies, and it's made like $50 million.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And those aren't even rated. Like, I hate
Yeah.
those movies, but I applaud them for
Making that happen.
well, yeah, for just being like, we're not going to submit it to the MPAA or the MPA as it is now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just didn't even submit it. They were just like, we're just going to release it. Get the
Unrated,
get the
yeah.
theaters to go behind it, and they did, and theaters are happy and they're happy.
Right.
I mean, doesn't make it a good movie, but
I still haven't watched one.
but it sets a precedent. I like that it sets a precedent that you can just
right.
put whatever you want out if you can get enough theaters behind you,
Mm-hmm.
and and it's been like a gradual uptick for them with each movie,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like culminated in the last couple movies, the success of those. So, but yeah, I mean, I hate the ratings.
Yeah.
So much of this is like cut away and like not extended.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's
depictions of
just there
nudity.
to drive the story.
It is very story driven.
He's a sex worker.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it comes with
Like-
the territory.
Right, exactly. And that's what I appreciated about it.
Yeah,
Just it's sad that it had to get a R or an X rating, and just because of the homosexuality, but I mean that's literally all it was.
but yeah. I mean, that's the main reason I picked it. It's just a great movie, and it's
Yeah.
like it's like you see those books like 1,000 movies you should see before you die or whatever,
Mhm.
or whatever. And this is one of those. I feel like it's a necessary watch for everyone.
I do think it's one that I could watch again, and probably pick apart even more. But I agree. It's a good movie, and I'm glad I've seen it.
I'd like to watch it when I'm in a better mood because I did like it. I thought it was good, but like I was not in the mood for it, and I felt like that made me
Okay.
not. I mean, it's great, but I
Yeah.
just I think I did not enjoy my viewing as much as I could have.
Right.
I just like it wasn't any fault of the movie.
There's-
It's just sometimes it's not the right day.
Right.
Or whatever.
There's something about like having a bad day and watching a really depressing movie that makes me feel good.
Yeah,
Sometimes
good.
sometimes that works, but sometimes it doesn't. I do like watching sad movies sometimes when I'm sad, but also sometimes just depending on where I'm at, I can't I can't access the catharsis necessary to enjoy them.
right.
And so like I don't know. But it was one of those days for me. Like it's the season. So
Yeah.
my emotions are shut off and stored away. So like I was talking to someone about this earlier. It's like I cry over everything, and like in the last, I don't know, month, I don't think I've cried about a movie or a song or any, and I do that all the time. So like I just got like a little bit of my emotions are shut down. I think because it's fall and it's dark.
Yeah.
But
I think, having those days where it just doesn't hit like it could.
mm-hmm.
I think everybody has that,
Yeah.
and I do that a lot with the podcast. I'll say I just wasn't in the mood for it. Like I'm sure it would have been.
Yeah, you
good.
do say that a good bit.
Yeah,
I just wasn't in the mood.
because I do have to be in the mood to watch a movie anyways.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the mood that the movie really needs to get you invested.
The thing that really got me is that like I watched it and was kind of like, I'm not in the mood for this. It's I could tell it's good. It's not hitting the way that it should for me. But then I was reading the Ebert review for it, and I guess he just didn't like it.
I think he gave it 3 stars.
He did.
If I remember. Like he thought it
rambled a bit.
Yeah, he thought it got too obvious, which I was like, really good?
Yeah.
But
I didn't.
Sorry,
feel that.
Yeah,
Continue.
no, you're fine. So I was reading that, and I was like, well, I don't agree with this, so I must like it better than I think I like it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like
Well,
this is like,
I do that with music a lot.
Yeah.
Because I like to on Fridays pull up, whatever albums are released and just listen to music.
yeah.
And sometimes I'll be like, this is trash. And then
next week
I'll
you're like, this
listen
is
to
all
it
I'm
6
listening
like
times.
later on I hear it and I'm like, oh, I just wasn't in the mood for it.
Yeah.
It's real important, I feel like.
It is real important. It is real important.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I think this movie is it deserves to be on the list of movies you should see before you die. It does a great job at touching on so many different things that were so relevant at the time that it's a time capsule, but at the same time are so relevant today as
They
well.
It's universal, like
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. That
yeah.
you
I've-
know,
I feel like anybody would have something to grab onto here that they can attach themselves to it.
yeah.
And that makes a really good movie when you can pull in any audience member via a certain part of the story
Yeah.
ever
that may
been
not
through-
mean anything to the other person that watches it, but it does to that person. And there's just something for everyone.
Yeah, if you've ever been through something,
Yeah.
this movie has it. Now, I guess there are people out there in the world that have never been through things, but like,
Yeah.
but if you've been through something,
I've never met them, but
I
I'm
haven't
sure there
either.
are.
But like, if you've ever been through something, this movie has it for you. Like, it's just it is a marathon of the practice and empathy. Like, just
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
feeling, yeah.
Yeah.
Might steal that at some point.
Okay, it is. It's just like you're.
Would you like to
watching
say it now just
yeah.
to practice?
No. No, I mean like in print somewhere.
Yeah,
Right, right.
Or like, oh, I remember that thing she said. I'll use that for this.
Yeah,
You
it's
gotta write
just-
that
you're
down.
Just sitting there, like you just sit there and you just feel it, like, and
Right.
it just,
Yeah.
and even if you're like, oh, I don't really relate to, like, it's just, there are moments of they're shocking because it's not things that you've necessarily, like, even now probably have not seen on film particularly often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, men do not get sexually assaulted in movies particularly often, and that's like a
Yeah. No, that's
that's a pretty groundbreaking thing for them to
Yeah.
have done at that
Yeah.
point in time, I'm sure. And like, just even just the like scrounging to survive, the like not being sure where your next meal is coming from,
Mhm.
like that kind of aspect of life it's hard, and just living through it. But
Yeah.
it was a good one.
I'm glad you liked it. Glad you guys
Yeah.
both liked it.
Oh,
I didn't realize
yeah.
that both of you hadn't seen it.
I had heard about it sometimes when I've like, and maybe it has been on in a room before when I've been in the room, but I've never sat down and watched this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad I did. I know that.
I'm glad you did too.
Yeah. It
I'm
was
glad
good.
we all watched this movie. I'm glad it was free on Canopy.
It was.
Yeah, that was
pretty.
great too. And because I did use Canopy for my watch of this, And I was scrolling through there, and I was like, there were so many
There's
that
so
I was
many
like,
good ones.
"Ooh,
Yeah.
I kind of would like to watch this right now. Ooh, I want to watch this right now."
That's what's really good about Canopy is so like if you go to a movie and then it'll have
Mhm.
like recommendations below that,
yeah,
they're very on point.
Mhm.
Like if you like this movie, here's a dozen others that are along the same wavelength.
yeah,
Like created
'Cause
by
I'll be
a
like,
real person.
Yeah, because I'll be like, well, I'm kind of in the mood for like an Italian sleazo kind of movie, so
Yeah.
I'll look up for one that I know, and then there's 10 more that I can.
well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've really used it a lot in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And there's just such a wide variety of movies on there and shows and
Yeah, I need to start using it more, and that's one thing I realized. I think I put upwards of like 5 movies on my to watch list
Yeah.
Mhm.
just in the
just
in the little bit of time it took me to find this movie.
yeah.
So I'm pretty excited to watch some of those movies now,
Yeah.
and I need to start using Canopy, like not just a shameless plug, but
No, because it's a
Same
great
plug.
service.
it,
and it's
it
great
really
service.
is just a great service.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of our discussion about The Midnight Cowboy. But we will need a movie for next week
We will.
or next episode.
Oh, it's I'm pretty sure it's Aaron's. It's Adventureland.
Oh, that is
Oh,
mine.
Kristen Stewart and Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
So I saw it in theaters.
I've seen that too, but it's
And I remember enjoying it. And I don't know if I'll still enjoy it or not. I know back then it was because I had just come off of working at
Working at
Cedar
it.
Point.
Yeah.
So it was, and like, I'll be excited to watch it again. Like I said, I've only seen it the one time.
Okay.
But I remember just sitting in the movies and being like, "Yep, that happens. Yep, that's true." Like there were so many things that happens in the movie that 100% happened
it's
while
like-
I was working
It's
there.
like the Clerks of theme parks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh. Clerks is a
So
great movie.
I'm excited to watch it again.
Cool.
Cool.
But that's why I picked.
I've seen that one. I don't remember much about it. So
Yeah,
it'd be good to
I
watch
don't.
again.
I don't
Not
either.
one I expected. So
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll watch Adventureland, and we'll be back next episode to discuss that.
Mhm.
But until then, I'm Aaron,
I'm Josh.
And I'm Toby.
and this has been The Real Opposites.